Hey guys, so today I'm trying a very new product to me, something unlike I've ever tried before. It is velvet makeup sponges, and these are from a company called Oh Fabulous. So they aren't the Juno ones that I've seen all over social media. These are by the brand Oh Fabulous. So they're actually like an online Australian boutique that sells like beauty, makeup, skincare related products. And yeah, they have their own little makeup sponges. I've got two, so I've already wet that one, that's why it's huge, but they come in these little plastic eggs and they literally look identical to the Juno ones, like they're a total dupe. I was looking at them online and they literally look exactly the same. They are described exactly the same, and the way they're meant to be used is described exactly the same as well. But these ones from Oh Fabulous are actually a little bit cheaper. So you can get the Juno ones off Mecca for $9, and as you can see, it's described as just like a microfiber velvet makeup sponge. Or you can buy the one from Oh Fabulous, which is called their Velvet Complexion Sponge, and it is $7. So yeah, they literally look identical, like they look like the exact same thing, so I'm assuming they pretty much are. But today I'm going to be trying them out, which I'm really excited about. So I have this one here which I've already wet, and it's literally like double the size of the dry one. I love the fact it comes in these little plastic eggs too. So this one is the dry sponge and this one is the wet one. So as you guys can see, there is quite a difference in size. When they're dry, they're really, really firm. I can't imagine applying a liquid foundation with it when it's dry because it is just a little bit too firm for my personal liking. But when it's wet, it's actually really quite soft and like fluffy feeling. I mean, it feels like velvet. It's like the weirdest sensation ever. I can't believe I'm about to apply foundation with this, but yeah, that's what it is. Isn't that trippy? Like, oh, it's spinning me out. So I actually found out about the Oh Fabulous Complexion Sponge from one of my favorite accounts, and her name is Miss Kate Beauty. She posted about it and I was like, ooh, I've been wanting to try a velvet sponge, and that's her there. So yeah, I'm excited to give it a go. So I was very kindly sent these from Oh Fabulous as well, full transparency here. So I didn't buy them myself, they were sent to me. So I've already primed. I've used just like my usual Too Faced Hangover Primer, of course. And I'm just going to use my NARS Naturally Radiant Foundation because this one I just know works well with both sponges as well as brushes. Like, it doesn't really matter how I apply it. I feel like it always looks nice. So they say you can actually use these sponges with liquid or powdered products. They just suggest to use it damp with liquid products and use it dry for powdered products. So I don't know if I'm going to use it for powdered products today because I would never use a sponge for that. I like my brushes, but we'll just see how it goes. I might try it just to give it a go, but I'm really curious about how it applies foundation because ultimately that's what I really love sponges for, is foundations and concealers and cream contour. I think if you're going to apply any of those three type of products, sponges are usually like the best way to go. In saying that, I still sometimes apply cream contour with a brush, but yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. It doesn't even slide down the sponge. It's like very firm when you pat it against your face. Well, not like very firm, but it kind of feels like you're pressing foam, like you're using just like a foam sponge. Oh, I mean, that's flawless, literally flawless, and like major coverage. I feel like that's really full coverage. Wow, probably didn't need 2 pumps on one side of my face. I mean, okay, velvet sponge, I'm a little bit shook. It just feels really different, like on your skin, like the actual texture of the velvet feels just so weird on your skin compared to like traditional sponges. And I feel like it definitely doesn't soak up product, like it just all sits on the surface of the sponge. Well, I can't fault that. The foundation looks super smooth. I feel like this foundation, like every other method I've ever used to apply it, it's always applied smooth. So the sponge definitely applies it smooth too. The sponge like doesn't even feel wet, even though I like drenched it underwater as well. Like when it touches your skin, it doesn't feel wet. I ran it underwater, I squeezed like half a dozen times, and then I like pressed it in a towel, which is what I do with all my other sponges too. And it literally doesn't feel wet when it's touching my face, which is like interesting. So yeah, So far, so good. So let's go on to the next thing. We'll do some concealer. So I'm just going to use my Too Faced Super Coverage Concealer in Vanilla. I mean, it's blending it out nicely. I feel like it is like a really sort of stubby sponge. Like it's thick, so it's kind of like hard to really get into those inner corners, but you can do. You just like obviously wouldn't be able to if you had eyeshadow on, because you like it's not precise enough. But like if you're someone like me who you do your foundation and concealer and everything first, then it'll be fine. I feel like I'm looking super full coverage. Like this foundation, I feel like it is full coverage regardless, but it's feeling like a very full coverage. Okay, so I guess I should do cream contour just so we can see how it blends out contour. I'll use the Too Faced concealer as well for contour in the shade Honey this time. Just gonna do 2 dots because it's really like pigmented, so I don't want to do too much. I think it's a little bit too fat for cream contour. Like it sort of just blends it down my face a little bit more than what I would usually achieve if I was just using like my normal contour brush, because she's a thick sponge or whatever. But I'll be able to fix it up with some powder. I mean, it looks nice, so like definitely looks really flawless. Like I feel like it doesn't lift up any of the product underneath or anything like that, which is, so I feel like the skin is looking good. It's looking good. So I'm going to set my face using the Too Faced Ethereal Setting Powder, and I guess I'll use a sponge. I don't know if I should use the wet one or the dry one, because it's powder, but it's like loose powder, and I feel like with baking you usually use like a damp sponge. I feel like it's definitely too big to be able to get in around my inner corners though, like especially with setting powder. Yeah, so I definitely feel like I still need to use like my tapered brush to like really set in around those inner corners, because the sponge just doesn't reach there with my eyes anyway. Then I'm just dusting it all away. And then for setting my contour in place, I'm just going to take my Benefit Hoola Light. I'm not going to use the sponge for that because I just don't, no. Can't envision it, not even going to try it, I don't know. I just don't know how, like that wouldn't work, no. No, we're not going to do that. I'm not going to get that silly. I just kind of feel like, does anyone even want to like be able to apply powdered bronzer with a sponge? Like, is that even a thing? Do people desire to do that? Let me know if you think you would like that. I just, yeah, no, I can't get on board with that. So I just popped some blush on my cheeks, and like I didn't even bother trying to use the sponge to apply the blush, because like when I apply blush, I blend it on my cheeks and I blend it back, and I just don't know how you can do that with a sponge and with powder. When I was, I watched a little video of the Juno one on the Mecca website, and no offense to the demonstration video, but I was like, because she used a sponge to apply her blush, bronzer and highlight, and it was pretty much non-existent on her skin, so I was just like, okay. Like, no, I'll stick to my brushes for those things. I think I went a little bit too heavy with my contour today. It's a little bit dark for my liking, but that's alright. That's alright. So I figured I would try and use the dry sponge though to actually apply my highlight on my cheekbone. And I'm just going to tap it into this highlight here, which is Glow Getter from the Anastasia highlight kit. So I just dabbed it in. I kind of like got it all over the sponge. Okay, so the highlighters in this palette, everyone knows, are really intense and blinding. It looks like I have no highlight on. Now dabbing back in for the 4th time. Just as I thought, kind of pointless with powders. Look guys, sponges I feel like should be used with creams unless you're baking. That is just that is just what I think. Like, you can see all that product on there. It is not transferring to my skin very well. I can see a very slight sheen from the highlight. Let me show you what it looks like when you actually use a highlighting brush. Because like I said, this is a blinding highlight, so it should apply. There you go. There you go. That's what we want to see. So yeah, the sponge just cannot achieve that type of impact when it comes to the actual highlight. I feel like because when you pick it up with the sponge and then you try to apply it, I feel like it just presses into the velvet microfibers instead of like just sitting on the end of the brush and then applying to the skin. So yeah, look, I think I'm right. My verdict is yes, you could most definitely use it for powders if you really wanted to, but you're just not going to get maximum pigmentation and payoff with powders. It really is better suited for cream products. So cream highlighter or a liquid highlighter, it'll probably apply it like an absolute dream, but definitely not powder. Okay guys, so my final verdict on these velvet sponges is I really like them for cream products. I think to apply traditional cream products like how you would use any other makeup sponge, it is amazing. But the difference between this and I feel like other makeup sponges is this doesn't soak in the product. It very much sits on the surface of the actual sponge. So when you apply it to your face, you maintain like that medium to full coverage that the actual product has. I feel like with beauty blenders in particular, compared to like all my other brand sponges, beauty blenders really soak up a lot of product, and I feel like when I use a beauty blender, they usually sugar up my foundation. This I felt like applied my foundation like the most full coverage I've ever seen this NARS foundation. So if you guys like full coverage and if you don't want a sponge that that's not going to shear out all your product, definitely give this one a try. It's also super affordable, like $7. What an absolute steal. Beauty blenders in Australia are ridiculously expensive. I think they're like $30, and as much as I love my good old beauty blenders, you know, if you're someone who's on a budget and if that's like a splurge you just can't really afford, this is going to be an awesome alternative, because although it feels quite different to a traditional sponge, I feel like it actually performs maybe even a little bit better, especially when it comes to coverage. Like, I feel like most of us, when we apply our products, we don't really want them to underperform to what they're supposed to. So if we're applying a medium to full coverage foundation, we typically want it to be medium to full coverage, if you get what I mean. So you're going to get that with this one, whilst other sponges like the Beauty Blender typically shear out your products a little bit more. So yeah, I really rate it. So if you guys haven't checked them out, and if you want to, I will link it in the description box for you. I'd love to know in the comment section too what you guys think of this whole velvet sponge trend. Like, do you love it? Have you tried it? What do you think of them? I'm super curious to know all your thoughts as well. I always love reading your reviews and opinions on things too, so be sure to let me know in the comment section. I'll chat to you guys down there. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and of course if you haven't subscribed yet, you should definitely do that too before you leave. And I think that's everything. So thank you so much to everyone who has watched to the very end. You guys know you're my MVPs and I love you to pieces, and that is all for today's video. So thanks for watching. Bye.